This video podcast is brought to you by McCarter Online.
At this time where the play takes place, it takes place in 1965, okay? So at this time, Cassius Clay has become Muhammad Ali, but he has just become Muhammad Ali. So people still sometimes call him Cassius Clay, and it's not like we're in 1975 where he's Muhammad Ali, he's the most well-known figure around the world for that name. He's just changed it, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things he's wrestling with in terms of, who is Muhammad Ali? What do I let go of Cassius Clay and what do I hold on to? How do I deal with that, And the same thing with Lincoln Perry, who played Stepin Fetchit. He's known as Stepin Fetchit, but he's wrestling with how can I become Lincoln Perry, And he has a very different take on his character. It's not like he hates his character, but he's like, there's so many more things I can do. That's this from Lincoln Perry perspective. He's like, I did that one character, that was like my Charlie Chaplin character, and I wanted to do more in Hollywood, and they wouldn't let me, so I got stuck playing this one role. So I feel like they both are wrestling with exactly what you talked about, sir. It's like sometimes they're Stepin Fetchit, sometimes they're Lincoln Perry. Sometimes he's Muhammad Ali, sometimes he's Cassius Clay. These men held both things, And sometimes it would get kind of cloudy, because sometimes when you're holding 2-3 personas, it's not always clear to you who you are. You know what I mean? Let's say you're a movie star, and you act this way, but then in private you act this way. But if you become so big, you start acting all like this. Your family's like, hey, I'm your brother. You know what I mean? You don't have to be no movie star to me. So those things are hard. So even as a playwright, it's kind of like they were both in a way. I mean, Lincoln Perry was the man behind Stepin Fetchit. But the character became so infamous, and like you said, man, he wasn't able to shake that character. His idea was he was going to, I don't give too much away, but he was going to be this character, break in Hollywood and do this, and then go on to other roles. But he wasn't able to do that. He became so famous in this character, and he wasn't able to change, Muhammad Ali was able to change, but think of all the things he had to go through to be Muhammad Ali. When I was coming up in the 1970s, again, Muhammad Ali was a hero in my community and pretty much in America. But looking back at these old, a lot of you probably already remember this, but looking back at this old footage, when he would come into the arena, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, boo, boo, he was and then he didn't go to Vietnam. He was hated. We forget that now. He light tortured the Atlanta, Olympics, and but he was really hated on. So he had to go through a lot to be Muhammad Ali in his way. But there's also fascinating because there's similarities between the two. That's what's really interesting about the play. As different as they are, it's almost opposite. You think of the stereotypical, the stereotype black man, here's a little boss, and you think of Muhammad Ali, they're opposite. But there's times when, especially the men, were similar enough to that they were friends, at critical times. And the idea that the reason why I call it Fetch, Clay, Make Man is the idea is that coming together, they make the man. You know what I mean? They make the man. It's a biblical thing with, Fetch, Clay, but it's also Fetch, like Stepin Fetchit and Cassius Clay make the man, that Muhammad Ali will be, basically, and that Lincoln Perry's trying to be. For a certain reason, in a special way, they came together. So you have to see the play to see how it happens.
This podcast has been brought to you by McCarter Theater in Princeton, New Jersey. For tickets, call 609-258-ARTS or visit www.mccarter.org.